Hey guys, I'm here with a different book review than originally promised, but I have recently finished this book and had to talk about it, and it is Libba Bray's Beauty Queens. And I know in my September book haul I was saying, you know what, I'm not really feeling this book, it's going to be hard for me to finish. And right after that I started reading it a little bit more, and I gave myself between 100 and 150 pages to really get to know what was going on in this book, and I fell absolutely in love with it. It was over the top in a completely fabulous way. The plot line is that there are beauty queens from each of the 50 states, and they are competing in a Miss Teen Dream pageant, and somewhere along the way they are riding in an airplane to go somewhere, and the airplane crashes, and they're stuck on this deserted island, and they have to figure out how to survive. And what I found really interesting is there's something that sort of happens that just really didn't seem logical to me in any way, and so I found it a little bit hilarious and also slightly frustrating, and that's that some of them actually want to continue practicing for the pageant. And it's sort of fascinating from an analytical perspective, just because you see how intensely these girls have prepared for this and how they've really been trained, some of them, for most of their lives, and that's really what they're used to doing. And so they, some of them figure, you know what, we can get rescued any day now, let's continue practicing. And what really amazed me is how resourceful a lot of these girls are. I mean, I would not have been able to survive on a desert island. I have none of these skills that they seem to have. And I was really, really impressed with the way that they were able to get organized. There's a couple interesting plot twists that happened. There's obviously a bad guy, and the bad guy in this sense is the corporation, and he's sort of the epitome of, the media is this big company called the corporation. And I kind of saw them as the equivalent of like MTV, but more powerful than MTV, like in Josie and the Pussycats when Carson Daly and MTV and the music industry was brainwashing people. That's sort of what happens, but more with product placement and really, really bad reality television that's scripted than anything else. There's a lot of interesting topics that get brought up, such as there's quite a bit of discussion and illumination regarding the LGBT community, and I found it really, really, really fascinating to see how different minorities, even in sexual orientation, and not even sexual orientation, but also minorities in ethnicity, have such problems in areas like this. And it's not really something that you get to hear about a lot, as like an Indian American struggle to do well in a beauty pageant that is sort of stacked against them. There's this they're not archetypal, but stereotypical role of a Caucasian, skinny, beautiful female winning it, maybe not a transgendered person winning it, or an Indian person winning it, and you sort of see their struggles that they have going on, which I found really fascinating. And what's really nice is something that I found at the beginning of the book to be really frustrating sort of makes you love the book by the end, and that's how overly obnoxious this beauty industry is, and how they're constantly caring about all these beauty products and talking like, really, really girly and over the top, and it was really frustrating at first for me. But you see the satire develop, and you get used to it, and you learn to appreciate it for being what it is, because it's a really harsh critique on the beauty industry and product placement, and people being so obsessed with the idea of what is and is not beautiful, and I thought that was great. There are a couple characters that I was really, really touched by. One of them is Taylor, and she is the original ringleader, and then she kind of goes off the deep end and goes a little crazy. And I found her really interesting because she appears to be so strong in the beginning, and you really get to see that somebody who they all looked up to and seemed to have it all together really, really used the opportunity of being alone to really find herself the most. And she was one of the biggest surprises throughout the book continuously, because you never really knew how she was going to react to anything. I really, really found her character interesting. There is Petra, who at the beginning I thought was a bit like Tiara, who's just sort of like an airhead in the beginning, and then Tiara develops and she becomes this like wonderful lady who is a really good person and it has some really good strengths to her. Petra, just, I mean, I thought she was going to be like Tiara, but she literally just kicks ass. She's just awesome, and she's not afraid of who she is, and I think that her love with her person that she finds is fabulous, and they are hilarious, and they are wonderful, and they are awesome, and they just made me smile lots. One character that I was really not impressed with was Tane Nagata. I think that's how you say his name. He just really did not hit the spot for me. I wanted him to be a little bit more three-dimensional, and I felt that he sort of just fell flat. He was an interesting character that kind of got brought in through a interesting, I don't want to use that word so much, situation, and so I really expected to see a little bit more out of him, and that didn't really happen. Overall, it was such a silly plot. It was so over the top that it was fabulous, and you know, once you get settled into Beauty Queens and you start reading it, you're gonna love it. It's fabulous. It definitely does the job that it set out to do, and it makes such a bigger impact on you than you thought it would. I mean, all the things that it brings up with diversity and sexual orientation, those are things that you weren't expecting from a book like this, but they sort of bring to light as something that no one really kind of, or at least I didn't really know about in the beauty queen world. So overall, I think I'm going to have to give this book a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really, really good. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite books of all time, but it really did what it set out to do, and it was a great read. It was a little bit slow for me in the beginning, but overall I was really impressed, and I am a new fan of Libba Bray. It's her first book I've ever read, and I'm excited to start reading more of her books. So thanks for watching, and hopefully Divergent book review to come. Bye!